Hey guys, Caleb here, back again with more bad fanfiction theater, and we have a guest again.
Sort of a guest, anyway.
Special arch nemesis villain person thing.
Extra special guest villain, Hushicho.
Da, 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 da. Wait, what am I doing? I don't know. It's a
What's
thing.
this?
What is this? This madness. Silence.
Silence.
Crickets chirping. Chirp, chirp, chirp.
Tumbleweed just sort of blows by.
Rawhide. Okay. So today we are reading Hannibal in Panties by Lavender Fawn on AO3.
Yeah, this is just so great because, like, for some reason, and I have to say, you know, and I've told you this before, like, I really like the head writer for the series Hannibal. The acting is amazing, and the actors are all really well directed, but I don't feel like the series is really. I can't really call it good, but I'm like, I've got to keep watching this because. For some reason, it's so absorbing. It's so, like, you just want to watch it, and the acting is so good. Like, the actors have such chemistry. Like, there are so many of these. Like, when I would see pictures of the show before I ever saw an episode, I would be like, you know, like, and then I watch the show, and I'm like, they are so hot. Oh my god.
Well, I've never seen the show, so I can't really say, but one of these days I will watch it.
Yeah, it's you know, it's just, it's really odd. I guess I could call it a guilty pleasure, but it is still much more watchable, I guess, than most of the other stuff that I've tried to watch that's, you know, modern, contemporary. But yeah, it's just it's funny because the first episode I saw. And I'm sure anybody that's a fan of the show will probably, like, completely freak out to hear this. The first episode I saw was the final episode of the second season. So you can imagine how how messed up the whole my whole introduction to the show is. So now I'm trying to watch from the first episode of the first season to catch up because I've seen some of the third season already, and since they've started that, and so yeah, I'm trying to catch up with it, and it's certainly a wild ride. Like, there are some things there that's like, it doesn't, like, I don't know if they were still trying to find the characters' voices in the first season where I am currently, because some of the things that is either implied or indicated doesn't seem to fit some of the characters sometimes. But I don't know. I mean, the acting is so very excellent that you just really don't really think about it too hard, you know. Like, you can just sort of coast on it, and, you know, all that fridge logic takes a back seat, and you can kind of enjoy it. It is a very involving show. So,
and for some people are going to be like, oh my god, he actually likes something. He hates this,
I know.
he hates that, and this sucks, but this he can actually watch and enjoy.
And it's funny. I know. I must get this horrible reputation for, like, being so insatiable. Like, I'm not satisfied by anything. I always have, and I don't want to. You know, I am pretty picky because I have, over the years. Oh my god, I threw myself into all kinds of crap, like, just, and you know, you would sort of get into it and invest yourself into it, and it would end up being just really disappointing, and you'd end up kind of bummed out because, like, I'm the kind of person that, like, I can see a character with a lot of potential that I really like, and I think that character's got so much potential, you know, like, I really like the concept of these characters, or I really like the concept of this series, you know, like, if only they had done it better. But, like, sometimes that happens too often, and sometimes you just end up feeling really bummed out because, like, you see something that could have been really, really amazing, and it just didn't get there for one reason or another. And I don't know. I think a lifetime of that has caused me in, like, the past, I don't know, 10 years to become increasingly more and more picky, because it's so often that, I come across something and it's just like, man, this just bums me out, to watch it, especially if something, like we were talking about endings of stories, like you go along with this story and it's great and you're getting involved in it, you really like it, and you really kind of, or even you're okay with it, like it's not the greatest thing ever, but you're okay with it and you get into it, you let yourself invest into it. And then you get to the end and it's just like it shits all over the place, and it completely ruins that
Yeah.
build up, and that is the most disappointing thing in the world. And I don't know, I don't know how this series is going to end. I mean, but up to now, I've enjoyed it. And the other day I watched Silence of the Lambs for the first time, probably since it was released, just about, and I had forgotten how good that film was.
I
Like
have never seen any of those movies, mostly because I was too young and they scared the shit out of me.
well, they are really intense. They like the Silence of the Lambs is a really intense film, and it's very disturbing in a number of ways, especially in that it seems to have like the way that they did it is very much it feels in touch with reality. Like that whole feeling of this could happen. This, you can easily believe in it happening, and the acting is so excellent that you just sort of feel it's very easy to become like a part of the story. It's easy to sort of, be absorbed into the story and feel like you're a part of it. Because, as I'm not a big fan of like police procedurals and things like that. Normally, I'm not really that much into like cop detective stories and FBI agents and things like
Total
that.
opposite
But
of me.
I know. But yeah, Silence of the Lambs is one of those where you watch it and it's just like, oh my God, it's like every actor in it is perfect in their role, and every performance is just, it's very believable. It's just absolutely excellent. It's beautifully directed. The music is fantastic. Like all of it has just come together in this magnificently well done way.
So today we are going to be reading Hannibal in Panties by Lavender Fawn on
Wait,
Archive of Our
wait,
Own.
wait, wait. Didn't we already say that though? Are we gonna
Well,
do?
I always reiterate what we're doing before
Oh,
I start the story.
I'm so sorry. I was
I
so
don't know where
confused.
we stopped, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go right into the story.
Okay. Oh yeah, we're back and
So now that that has happened, we are reading Hannibal and Panties, Lavender Fawn on archiveofourown.org.
I'm so sorry.
If you want to follow along, there will be a link down in the description below. Who's reading first?
You are, because I have that paranoia.
Summary. Hannibal is walking around in the living room in heels and panties, and
As he
Will,
would do.
yes, and Will couldn't pass up the opportunity. As he
As
would.
he would do. Yeah.
There's an older gentleman wearing panties and shit. I'm gonna be all over that because I really like lingerie.
I love. I just. I don't know. Just imagining these characters doing this is just. It's wonderfully hilarious. So I'm hoping that this is as amusing as it promises to be.
Well, we shall see. Notes. I got really bored one night and my favorite characters in panties are my weakness. So I was like, YOLO! And decided to write this piece of trash. I actually wrote it quite some time ago, but never had the guts to post it. But my friend read it and insisted that I should. We need to like take a break. Maybe a few more commas or some periods. But this is just like random notes, so we're okay, I suppose. So here it is. It's probs really out of character, but oh well. Bottom Hannibal is life, and there needs to be more of it, so there you go. Because I say so. I'm like,
Well,
okay,
hey,
sure.
yeah, I mean, you and I both have had problems with this.
Yeah.
We'll sail on a ship that nobody sails, you know, like
Yeah,
you
that,
get
or they
really.
never do the reverse of the pairing, where the person who's usually semi is on bottom, and I'm just like, why? I would rather see this. Like, you're never gonna get John Arty where John's on top. I mean, there might be a fic out there, or maybe two. The rest of them, it never happens.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pairings too that like you get really into. I know we've talked about this before, but I just want to
Yeah.
retread it for anybody that hasn't heard. But like you get into this pairing or something, and you're like, yeah, this is a really hot pairing. I really want to read more stuff with them in it, or I want to see art or something. And it's like nobody, like you're literally the only person who is willing to create something for this. So I totally get you here. I totally get this author.
If this does well, I would love to write more. This one's just short, and it's more of a thing to get my nerves out.
Awesome.
Happy face. I'm not sure what kind of, how to express that is a happy face, but it is a happy face.
Yeah. You just have to see it.
See the end of the work for more notes.
More notes.
Woo! I'm not going to scroll down and see if there are more notes or not.
Well, we'll handle it when we get there, if there are. Hannibal, are you sure you haven't read this book? Will asked. He was laying on the couch in the living room reading. I feel like at one point you told me about. Will's sentence trailed off as he heard the sound of heels clicking on the wooden floor. He looked up from his book and over at the doorway. Will finished his sentence when he saw Hannibal walk in.
The older man was wearing a pair of dark purple and black lace panties that matched with floral lace stockings.
I called it! I called it!
Right from Caleb's lingerie.
I totally called it that he would wear something really, really sophisticated and elegant, like stockings and a garter belt.
And a lace garter belt. Do you like the heels, William? I don't know how he sounds. I've never seen the show, so. Or do you think it's a bit too much? Hannibal spoke, leaning on the doorway slightly.
Will looked down at the black heels, eyes a bit wide. He blinked as his mind tried to process what he was seeing at the moment. Hannibal, you are a very strange man, and you have done some pretty odd things, and I wish I could say this takes the cake, but it's pretty close, Will said to him and sat up.
What the hell else would be stranger than seeing a fine gentleman, in theory, wearing women's underwear?
Well, you know, I don't know. It's just so odd that it's Hannibal. Like, normally it wouldn't be a thing that would really strike me as odd. You know, it's like people do what they like, you know, and
Yeah.
it doesn't really faze me that much. But Hannibal is just so odd to me.
It'd be like Mycroft suddenly showing up in this, and I'd just be like, what the hell? Like, okay, sure. Someone write that story now. Do you not like it, Will? Hannibal asked and began to walk over to Will. He climbed up on the couch and straddled his lap. I paid good money for this. It would be rude to say you didn't.
How expensive? So expensive that it came with a no-touch policy? Will asked, smirking up at Hannibal.
No. I would more than glad if you were to touch. We're missing a word there.
We're missing a word there. Kind of small but crucial, but,
Hannibal replied, and then led down. Led down? Yes, he led down. Then leaned down to kiss Will's lips.
Will smiled into the kiss as one of his hands, no apostrophe needed there, went into Hannibal's hair, and the other rubbed at the front of the soft, thin fabric, making the other man suck in a small breath and deepen the kiss. His hand wandered up along his shaft, and then he gently rubbed his thumb on Hannibal's tip, continuing until a little wet spot soaked through the fabric. Would you like to take this to the bedroom? Will asked him. I don't know why I said it like that. That just makes me think of Will having like these bright, sparkly eyes, like.
I don't know.
Can we please?
My My automatic reply to that was, no, because I totally want you to slam me down on the floor and take me as savagely as possible. Yes, let's go to the fucking bedroom where I can be comfortable while we fuck. Unless you want your knees to fucking ache, and I don't think you do.
Well, this is a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think about it in practical term, yeah, it's going to get really uncomfortable very, very quickly. And I do hate to put in that realism into it because sometimes it's so disappointing to think about. Like you think about something that sounds like it's sexy in a story,
Yeah.
and you think that it's so sexy, but then you think, I would never want to do that in real life because it wouldn't be sexy.
Yeah, I mean, if you get the, author gets into his groove, it can, anything that it sounds questionable can be actually really hot.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna bring up love letters again, and I'm like, well, that was really disturbing, but it was also hot in its own way. But we're also talking about Moriarty writing love letters to John.
Well, just
So,
about anything as long as the author has a passion for it that they convey to the reader. Like, I really think that even some of the stuff that we normally don't like, as long as it's presented in an attractive, appealing way that conveys why the author likes it, then it can be enjoyable. But if you've got someone writing something and kind of like not taking that extra step, like not going that extra step to convey why they like it, you're just going to get an audience that doesn't understand unless they already like it themselves. Blah, 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 Hushicho, blah, blah, blah.
did you read that part? Yeah. Okay.
Did I?
Yes, I think so.
Oh yeah, that's right, I did.
Sorry,
Sorry.
people. It's like we're kind of blanking out because we're more involved in talking than following the story. Hannibal let out a small needed? Should that be
Yeah.
needy?
No, not really. It's it can be like a breath that he needed to
Okay.
exhale.
Okay.
Like
Hannibal
it's,
let out a small needed breath. Then to blah, 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 blah. I do words right. I do words. Hannibal let out a small needed breath, and then shook his head before he groaned softly as Will needed at his groin. Need what?
yes, needed. Like you
Well,
take
yeah,
a.
but I'm just like, well, I think you could omit the ats.
It could go either way, I guess. Will's hand tugged at the hem of the Panties gently. It's these small, it's these small typos, and I have made so many of them, and
Oh, you should
it's
look at
always.
my Skype log. Like, I make all kinds of them all the time. Except now I have a new computer and a new keyboard, so I can complain them. Yes, I can blame them.
Like I was reading about this one crucial typo that this romance novel had.
Oh, is it like when I meant to type shirts and instead I type shit?
It was actually almost exactly like that, except it was shift. No, it was shirt. It was shirt. That's right. It was shirt. and of course, it was in a sentence where it made sense. So it was like shirt on the floor. So it was like, and what's the worst part is that it was in this really steamy scene. So like this dude is this dude's making out with the heroine of this book, and then suddenly I think I forget it was I forget yeah I forget which one of them it was, but I want to say it was him, but it may have been her. But it was just shit on the floor in the kitchen. And the author was like, yes, obviously this was a typo, but of course it was the worst possible typo. What was terrible is that it had been, that was how it was published. It actually had to be revised because it was published
Well, that's what happened with mine. I had a school project to turn in, and because the juniors at my high school all have this huge project,
Yeah.
depending on, which semester they're in. and then we have like a big open house where like all our relatives and everything come, just to see it.
Oh, I
And
remember this.
I was with my father. Mom wasn't there. I was with Dad, and he was looking through it and reading what I wrote, and he's like, "Kassie, what, Dad? No, get over here." It's like, well, I was talking to. No, you should come over here and look at this because it's funny. Because this is my dad. My dad is not really. I don't know how to describe him, but if you knew my dad, or you know somebody like my dad, I'm sure you do. He just calls me over there. He's like, "Kassie, read the sentence." I did. I'm like, "What's wrong with the sentence?" He's like, "No, look at this word and read the sentence." And then I realized I'd left out an R in shirt. And Dad I'm like, "Oh no." And I looked at Dad, and he's just got this huge ass grin on his face. And I'm like, "Dad, that's not funny." I get in huge trouble for that. I'm like, everybody can come by and see I wrote shit instead of shirt. Thanks, Dad. I got a pen from somebody, scratched it out and wrote shirt and put it back in there.
Yeah, it sounds like the cell type. Like we had a required typing course that was we do it on computers, obviously, not typewriters. In high school, and so I took that. I think it was in 10th grade, I want to say. But the guy that taught it was this this coach type. I think he was the football coach. But like funny thing, I was really good in that class because I taught myself to type long before the class. And so I was actually pretty good at it, and I was very good touch typist. I made one mistake on one of the tests, and of course on the test you cannot use the backspace. You just have to keep, And of course he was right behind me when I did it, and instead of shut the door, I typed shit the door, and I thought he was gonna bust a gut laughing because it was the only freaking typo I made in that class on a test. But yeah, when I did it, I did it good and complete.
And now I just have flashbacks to porcelain pussy.
What?
Talk time! Okay, back from talk time. Yay!
Yay! Will's hand tugged at the hem of the Panties gently, which made Hannibal scoot closer to him on his lap. On the couch then, he watched as Hannibal quickly, yet swiftly, which seems to be unnecessary, began to unbuckle his pants and then nod.
Yes, right now. The older one breathed, and Will moved so he could slip down his jeans and boxers. Hannibal immediately crawled off his lap and got on his knees on the ground before beginning to kiss along Will's member. He gingerly wrapped his hand around his prick and gave steady, rhythmic pumps as his free hand slipped off his pants the rest of the way.
Hannibal? Will breathed quietly, and both of his hands went up to tangle and make a mess of Hannibal's hair.
Yes, William. Hannibal smirked up at him before he leaned forward and took his prick into his mouth.
Will bit back a noise and couldn't help but push Hannibal's head towards him, trying to get in deeper into his throat. The man underneath him had nothing against Will's eagerness. He was just as anxious as well, and in fact he moaned, which made Will gasp.
Hannah began to bob his head, taking Will's cock in and back out of his mouth with a slight bit of drool running down his mouth as he continued.
Will was expecting for Hannibal to flip him over at any moment on the couch to expose his entrance, but that moment never came, and instead the doctor kept on the ground until Will's whines were completely spilling over with lust, and with that Hannibal got back up on his lap. Will barely had any time to remove his shirt before Hannibal caught his lips into a sloppy and impatient kiss. Okay, that's kind of awkward, but we're getting into the moment,
No, don't move. Hannibal spoke when the shorter man attempted to pull away and moved to lay down beneath him. He removed the heels, panties, and the garter belt, but left the stockings on. His cock was hard, and the head was slick with pre-cum, and he couldn't help but moan when he felt Will gently tease his tip with his finger. Will brought that finger up to his mouth and licked the tip of it. Hannibal leaned back down and took that finger and another into his mouth. Gently.
Wait,
Yes?
I just realized it said Will brought that finger up to his one mouth as opposed to the other one that we have.
I missed that too.
I was going across the line and just noticed that above the line you were reading. I was just like, wait, his one mouth.
I missed that. Yes, his one mouth, because Will has multiple mouths, because he is not human. Didn't you know that from watching the show?
Well, no, I'm kind of inexperienced in the show, but you know, I'll get that.
See. Okay. He hides it under his pants.
I'm sure he does. Actually, I wouldn't put it past the show because some of the sequences in it are kind of surreal. So
somebody was doing acid when they came up with this part, so just go with it. Will brought that finger up to his one mouth and licked the tip of it. Hannibal leaned back down and took that finger and another into his mouth, gently sucking and shamelessly groaning as he did so. Will couldn't help but give him a confused look, not exactly sure what they were doing, but just went with what Hannibal had in mind. Okay. Yes, JC, I know.
The cat's like, I don't want you to read Hannibal fanfiction.
She's probably more like, stop putting in your pointless quips and just keep reading. Damn it. How am I supposed to masturbate furiously to this? I can only hear your side anyway, so shut up and keep reading. I will, JC. Just give me a second. He didn't question the other man at all, even when he leaned back up and guided his hand to his two-hole.
Oh well.
Before gently pushing Will's fingers in, Hannibal let out a muffled and, this time, shameful whimper as he did so. He moved his own hand back and gripping at Will's arm as he... Wait, what?
And gripped it Will's arm.
Okay. He moved his own hand back and gripped at Will's arm as he pushed down on his fingers, trying to get them in deeper.
Will gently began to thrust his hand in and out of Hannibal, but the other man moaned loudly.
Wait, his entire hand? I thought it was just your fingers.
I don't know. Maybe, I mean, of course you have to move your hand to move the fingers, but I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know we were in for fisting when we started this, but hey. YOLO, like the author said.
YOLO! More, faster, William, deeper.
Not so gingerly now. Will continued until the other man above him was absolutely writhing and moaning loud enough for it to echo throughout the halls. Never had Will ever seen the doctor be so unorganized and disordered before.
So this is the first time you guys are having sex?
I don't know, but it's obviously the first time he wore panties.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Maybe he's a secret panty fiend. Like, maybe they both are. And this was just, maybe like Hannibal was, he's constantly, psychoanalyzing Will. Maybe he's like, I see a love of panties in that boy's subconscious. So he's surprising him with this, and Will's going to be an insatiable fuck beast next time. So. Next time on Hannibal. You've got to stop. Will, you've got to do some work every now and then. You can't just keep fucking all the time. Don't tell me what I can and can't do.
All these panties, I gotta rub one off.
all these quick cuts, to one shot. Someone turning around dramatically with a soft focus lens.
Like the dramatic gopher.
Yes.
Finally, Hannibal couldn't take any more. Yeah, okay, I read that right. Finally, Hannibal couldn't take any more, and he batted Will's hands away. The man beneath him pulled his fingers out, and Hannibal pulled his hair back behind his ear as a weak attempt to look less disheveled. That soon went away. He pushed Will down so his back was on the couch, and got into position on Will's lap. Hannibal gently pressed Will's tip to his entrance before pushing down, taking him all the way. Hannibal moaned and began to start rolling his hips on top of Will.
Will let the man above him do as he pleased, and then he bucked up into Hannibal hard and suddenly before letting out. Oh, sorry. And then he bucked up into Hannibal hard and suddenly before letting out a soft moan as well.
Hannibal gasped and felt pleasure sear through his body, so he continued to push up and then down again, trying to find that sweet spot. He felt Will's prick just barely graze on his prostrate. Okay. He bit his lip and managed to keep from yelling out when Will bucked up into him again. I'm sorry, I'm reading this so roboty for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's a new screen.
It's great. We're having fun, so what the hell?
He moved his hips quickly now, and both men were taking deep yet quick breaths. Hannibal's moans became more high-pitched the faster he went, and the more Will's cock rubbed on his prostrate, and the pleasure continued to build until he began to pulsate on his prick and came on the other's chest.
Will finished inside him not too long later, and Hannibal continued to roll his hips just a bit more before he finally leaned up further so Will's could pull out. He felt Will's cum leak out of him, and he brought his hand down behind him to rub his wet and sticky hole. You left a big load in me, darling. Feel me? No, I need to try and do like a Hannibal accent because he has such a delicious accent on the show. You left a big load in me, darling. That doesn't sound right. Filled me up with your cum. Feels so amazing. He breathed, still on his hands and knees, as cum began to slip down his thigh. He brought his hand to his mouth and licked the white off his fingers. And you taste absolutely delicious. Hannibal hummed. Oh my God, the note.
The final author's note. Don't look at me, oh my God. So what did you think of that story?
The last note. Oh my God. I applaud, like, yeah, this had some, yeah, it may, it might have benefited from another revision or two. We might have had someone else, maybe proofread it a little bit for you. But man, this was not only surprisingly hot, it was also really amusing, and that last note just really makes it for me. Like, I cannot possibly hate this story because that last note is just so. So I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good, and it didn't overstay its welcome. It even if this was kind of surprising to me for the characters to do this, it wasn't really that outrageous. Like neither of them was really too ridiculous. It's not something that's impossible to wrap your head around. And I also like the fact that I don't know if it was intentional. I think it was, but like the whole flavors and tastes and like the mouth and the throat, all this stuff. It's sort of, I don't know. With Hannibal, of course, it has a very different like an extra dimension to it. So I don't know if they intentionally played that up, but I thought it was I thought it was well done in that it also incorporated that seemingly. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's not usually what I really get into, but it was so well done in general. I think that I really liked it.
Yeah, it was okay. I think maybe had I seen the series or been more familiar with the characters, I might have enjoyed it more. But
Yeah.
I don't know why this was on a list of bad fics.
Yeah, this is by. Yeah, seriously, this was. Even if you didn't think this was the greatest thing, it's by no means bad. And
yeah, I mean, just maybe need an editor to fix some typos or look back over it, and fix the typos. And for me, I'd like maybe a little more detail, but aside from that, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think really, just like I said, maybe another revision or two
Yeah.
would have probably caught a lot more. And
Yeah, well,
I
from what I understand in the author's note, she's just like, yeah, I wrote this a while ago, never posted it. Then my friend's like, you should totally post it. So
yeah
I did. By the way, there's some stuff wrong with it, but there you go. Don't look
yeah,
at
I
me.
mean, yeah, seriously. I mean, she calls it a piece of trash, and I don't think this is a piece of trash at all. I think it's actually, especially considering what we normally read.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I mean, considering what's coming up with Dave, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and seriously, considering what else we've been reading, like 50 Shades of Grey, like, yeah, I know. Seriously, this is like a light shining down from heaven compared to that stuff. So
it's We Love Mormon Vampires.
yeah.
Or Supernatural Orgy, except that was a little more
Yeah, that one was
off
fun.
the wall than this was.
Yeah, it was pretty wacky, yeah. But
My conclusion is not a bad fic, just needs some work.
yeah, I think so too. Just do some revisions, some editing. I actually think that this could work as a longer story. Like you could actually do multiple chapters on like building this up so that it's so that the characters seem to ease into it more organically. Like you could always have, like the start of like, just like I said, like Hannibal psychoanalyzes Will constantly. So maybe he notices this interest in Will that Will doesn't even realize, and gradually it gets to this point where he just ends up,
all of a sudden I'm gonna dress from my lower half down in women's underwear, and
yeah,
let's see what happens. Because I've been wanting to tap his ass for like months now.
I really like the fact that Hannibal in this was basically a power bottom. I think that's great. I think there should be more power bottoms because you don't see that enough. Usually the bottoms in these are like weepy, kind of, frail, like,
yeah, well, that's stereotypical of yaoi in general.
Yeah, it's stereotypical of a lot of just about any kind of slash and pairing up. And I really think it was great to have someone like Will, who is kind of, very unsure of himself and kind of more of a assumed bottom type, with Hannibal, who is obviously, like the take charge, more dominant sort of type, being the one that kind of makes it on his terms, like he kind of calls the shots, and it's, I think that's very nice because you get a lot of stereotypes especially in fanfic writing. So it's very neat when you see something that is more reflective of the diversity of reality. I guess I should say, I should spread my hands and there's a rainbow in them. The diversity of reality. But like, but seriously, I mean, like,
rainbows.
But I really do like a good power bottom in a story. I think that's really good because like there needs to be more of that. And this was just like the author said, bottom Hannibal is life. There needs to be more of it. There definitely does need to be more of it if it's written this way, I think. I really think that it suits Hannibal because while he has a very dominant personality, that doesn't mean he can't be on the bottom. And when he is on the bottom, you call the shots. That's a power bottom, classic power bottom. So that really works for me.
I have nothing more to say about this. I'm just like, yeah, I read it. I could recommend it to people who like the show and would like to see the dude on the bottom and the other dude on the top.
Yeah, I say go for it. Like I'm still not very far in Hannibal, and I still kind of regard it as the guilty pleasure. But yeah, this was really nice. I enjoyed it. I'm glad that we got to read this.
So I'm Caleb.
And I'm Hushicho.
And this has been Bad Fanfiction Theater. Thank you.
Which actually wasn't bad fanfiction.
Yeah, this might actually get the what was that story we read? That was
I've Got You Pegged.
No. It was the very first one. Sparking Tickle, that's what it was.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably use the intro from that, where it starts out as Bad Fanfiction Theater, and then it just goes right into I Love Fanfiction. Because this ain't bad.
No, it's not bad.
Work.
Yeah, this isn't bad at all. Just another revision or two, and this would be, like I said, I'd like to see this in a series because this author clearly has a good concept and a clear idea in mind, a good dynamic, a lot of really hot ideas.
I mean, you could easily expand upon this.
Yeah.
So, but I'm Caleb, he's Hushicho, and this has been Bad Fanfiction Theater. Thank you for listening. Bye!
Bye!